Howdy Simmers, I'm TheSimmingKoalaa and welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is having a good day. Last month at the Sims Summit, a lot of stuff was announced, but probably the biggest thing that was announced was that the Sims team was working on a new game called Project Renee, which may or may not end up being The Sims 5. It's way too early in development. Nothing has been confirmed whether this is actually going to be a new main Sims game or if it's going to be like an outside project spin-off game or whatever. But recently on Twitter, there have been a lot of leaks, which may or may not be real. So I thought today I would tell you guys what I really want for the next Sims game, because there is a lot of speculation going on. I know we are still years away from having this game, but this is kind of what I'm wanting. So starting off with the graphics, I personally am a really big fan of the cartoony style of The Sims 4. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I really would like to see in The Sims 5 a more cartoony style than realistic like The Sims 3. The graphic style of The Sims 3 is actually kind of what turns me off from playing that game. Like, it's not my vibe at all. I really hate hyper-realistic, and especially if they're using Unreal Engine, they have the ability to do that. And I really just don't want them to. I think a nice middle ground would be good. I just prefer the more cartoony style because it's The Sims, you know? It's not supposed to be like hyper realistic or anything. But I mean, it's a game. So at the end of the day, do the graphic styles really matter? No, but if it comes to what kind of style they want to do, obviously each Sims game has very different graphic styles over the years. I would prefer a more cartoony route with this game. The next thing is open world. So, The Sims 3 had an open world and everyone seemed to love it. I myself have gotten used to the loading screens and I'm fine with the loading screens, honestly, but that could just be because I started with The Sims 4. That was my first Sims game that I ever played outside of like The Sims free play. The loading screens, I really don't mind that much. I think that open world can get very overwhelming, especially for myself, who started off with The Sims 4. It's just very difficult going from a game where everything is closed off to suddenly having an open world and everything happening all at once. What I would settle for, honestly, is open neighborhood, like in The Sims 2, so that you can still go house to house in your neighborhood without any loading screens. But if you were to, say, have your sim go to like a downtown area, you'd still need a loading screen for that. But other than that, I'm fine with open neighborhood, honestly. It's just open world that I seem to have a problem with because it's just so overwhelming. An open neighborhood is actually a good reason to bring cars back into the game. I understand the frustration that people have with cars not being included in The Sims 4 because cars and driving is a very real part of life. And you'd think we would have that in a life simulation game. Not in The Sims 4, but in all the other Sims games. So I think that The Sims 5 would be a good time to bring that back because it is a very realistic thing in people's lives. And in a life simulation game, you want it to be realistic typically. So I am in agreement that I think cars should make a return. And at this point in The Sims 4, I don't think we're ever going to get cars in this game. So I'd love to actually see them in The Sims 5. And that's what I have to say about that. I think a lot of people are going to agree with me when I say that in The Sims 5, babies need to be freed from their bassinets right off the bat. In case you guys missed it, at the Sims Summit, they announced that babies are going to be freed from their bassinets finally. However, what they're gonna do is actually just add a new life stage called infants, which is going to be in between babies and toddlers. So newborn babies are still going to be tied to their bassinets, whereas infants are going to be able to like crawl around and who knows what else at this point. They're coming early next year. I don't know what all we're going to be able to do with them. But in the previous Sims games, we've at least been able to carry the babies around. And in The Sims 4, they've been tied completely to the bassinets. So in The Sims 5, I would love to see the babies be free right off the bat. I don't know what all I'd really want us to be able to do with them. I just know that I really don't want them tied to their bassinets. I want to be able to actually do stuff with the babies in the game, like... Is that too much to ask? I don't feel like it's too much to ask. Alongside free babies or like infants or whatever, I do want them to add a preteen life stage. I don't think we've ever had an actual preteen life stage in any of the Sims games, but there is a very big difference between preteens and actual teens. And so I would really love in the future to be able to see the difference between them. I'd love for them to add a dedicated preteen life stage where we get to see them go through puberty and kind of deal with like the first of their pre-teenhood, essentially, rather than just going straight from a kid to a teenager. You know, we need that middle transition of when you're still a kid, but you're starting to develop your kind of teenage hormones and all that stuff. And I know not everyone's going to be into that idea, But I think that it would be kind of interesting to see because it's not something we've ever had in the game before without mods. So I think it would be kind of cool. And obviously, myself being a family player and a legacy player, I want to be able to play with my Sims for as long as I can. And I want to go through all of their life stages, watch them from birth until death. And that's just kind of my play style personally. What I enjoy. I don't know. I get attached to my Sims very easily, so I'd love to see a preteen life stage. They've already shown off this feature in the development stuff that they showed us from the Sim Summit, but I really want to see them add the color wheel into the official game. So we had the color wheel back in The Sims 3. I can't recall if we had it in The Sims 2 or not, but I know we definitely had it in The Sims 3. That and Create a Style. And in The Sims 4, we have swatches, but we don't actually have a color wheel or create a style in the game. We have a color wheel for like pets and werewolves to like customize their fur, but we don't have them unlocked for literally anything else. And so I think it would be cool to have a color wheel in the game for like any builds or buy objects, and also to be able to customize a little bit more like our Create a Sim stuff, you know, give them a unique outfit. That's mainly what Create a Style is for, honestly. We don't have Create a Style in The Sims 4, and I would love to see that. I have a lot of fun with it when I play in The Sims 3, just being able to make things look a little bit more unique because I get to pick out the color, I get to pick out the texture, any patterns that I want on it. It's a cool feature to have, and I'd love to see it make a return in The Sims 5. So I have seen that the color wheel is currently implemented in what they have made. I haven't seen anything about Create a Style yet. And we still have a few years before this game actually comes out. So, you know, the color wheel may exist now, but it may not end up being in the final product. I really hope that it is, though, because I feel like that would just make the game so much better. I'd also really like to see the return of the randomness. And I don't mean like Sims 4 randomness, because Sims 4 can still be kind of random, but it's not as chaotic and random as, say, The Sims 1 or The Sims 2. Where things just kind of happen and there's really no explanation for it. Sims 4, I think I have said before, feels a little tame to me compared to earlier Sims games. And so I'd love to see the chaoticness and the randomness of the earlier Sims games make a return. I really want it to feel more like a Sims game again, because Sims 4 has a very different vibe from the earlier Sims games. And I think that's part of why The Sims 4 is so unpopular compared to kind of the older games with people who have played the earlier games prior to The Sims 4. A lot of players are really unhappy with just kind of how boring The Sims 4 is. I don't know why I do quotations. I can see how it could be boring for some people. I personally have a lot of fun with it. I know not everyone does, though, so I get why people think it's boring. That's not my case, but I just, yeah. I'd love to see a little bit more chaos happening in The Sims, and, you know, I think that a new game is perfect to bring back basically anything that we love about the earlier Sims games. My last thing has to do with the actual build mode. So, The Sims 4 is very well known as, like, a build simulator at this point, because we don't get new content very often and there's not ever really much to do with the content that we get for The Sims 4 nowadays. It's very much become more about building than anything else. You get videos from simmers that are just like, I built a 2-story house for 8 Sims or something like that. You know, it's a lot of building stuff. And I think part of that has to do actually with because build mode in The Sims 4 is like the best build mode that has ever existed in any of the Sims games. So it's super easy. You can make some really cute stuff. And I'd love to see a similar build mode or like the same build mode in the next Sims game. My only thing is I would really like auto roof. So roofing is very difficult in The Sims 4, as a lot of my fellow builders will understand. And even some people who don't build, I'm sure if you guys watch any build videos, you know, building can be hard because of the roofs. So I would love an auto roof feature. I really wish that we had that in The Sims 4. Somehow I feel like if they did choose to implement it, it would end up being very broken, similar to how the round rooms are very broken. Sadly, features that get added to The Sims 4 just aren't very well tested, and so a lot of stuff does not end up working, and it's kind of sad. So, like, as much as I would love for them to add an auto roof feature to The Sims 4, I worry that it is not going to work well. So I would love to just have that feature right off the bat in The Sims 5 and hope for the best that it actually works properly and that it's not a mess. So yeah. So essentially what I want is The Sims 2 with like Sims 4 graphics or something similar to that. Because honestly, Sims 2 is just like the best Sims game, in my opinion, like better than Sims 3. People can fight me on it. I'm not going to change my mind about that. I love The Sims 2 so much. So really, I was hoping for like a Sims 2 remaster at the Sim Summit. I was hoping that was what was going to be announced, but instead they announced Project Renee, and it's fine. It's fine. But yeah, I mean, that's basically what I want for the next Sims game. I don't think I'm asking too much, really. These are just my personal opinions. Let me know in the comments what you guys want for The Sims 5, because I'm sure we all have very similar ideas and also very different ideas for what we all want for the next Sims game. But with that, I think I'm gonna go ahead and go. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel and make sure you have notifications on so you don't miss anything. Be sure to follow my socials. Links are below. I'll see y'all soon. Bye.